Welcome to the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show. I'm Chris Emma, alongside my colleagues Jesse Pantusco and Jordan Cohn. Boys, it's week 13 of the NFL season. We have your waiver wire pickups, your stream team, and your stealthy starts. I will get us going with Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. And for the first time, really in his entire career, despite all the contract extensions and all the love he's gotten from that organization, he's the full-time starter. The Saints have moved away from Trevor Siemian. They've given up on that experiment, and they're going to really fully implement Taysom Hill within this offense. And it's long overdue. We know Sean Payton has a ton of faith in Taysom Hill, and now is an opportunity for him to really get unleashed within that system. I'm excited to see what he does within that full-time role. I think he could project to be a QB1, if not right away, then in due time. I'm intrigued by what Taysom Hill can bring as the starter. So that's my pickup. Jordan, who's your guy?
I like that pick, Chris. I'm going to go with a running back here, and that is Jamaal Williams of the Detroit Lions. The fantasy football running back community is just decimated with injuries as usual. We have CMC done for the season. Derrick Henry remains sidelined. We have another big injury that Jesse's pick is going to cover, but I'm going to go with the Lions running back that will now get a big boost in touches thanks to DeAndre Swift's injury. It didn't look good. He's probably not going to be out for too long, but head coach Dan Campbell has already said that it seems doubtful that Swift will recover in time to play in week 13. So that puts Williams in a great position to get a lot of the work. He got 63% of the snaps with Swift getting in the mix in week 12 before he went down to injury. Williams is a capable pass catcher. He already has a sizable role in the offense. So I don't see why 20 touches should be, too hard to achieve. And with that should come good fantasy production.
Good pickup. I like that. Jesse, who are you looking for on the waiver wires this week?
All we have in this life are death, taxes, and Alexander Mattison returning RB1 value whenever Dalvin Cook is hurt. Last week, as Jordan mentioned, was a bloodbath at the running back position with Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, and Cook all going down with injuries. Cook's torn labrum doesn't appear to be a season ender, but fantasy owners should expect to be without him for at least the next couple weeks. Over the last 2 seasons, Mattison has started in place of Cook 4 times. He's finished as a top 7 fantasy running back 3 times in that span, averaging over 120 yards from scrimmage on 25 touches per game. With favorable matchups the next 2 weeks against Detroit and Pittsburgh, 2nd and 9th respectively in points allowed to fantasy running backs, Mattison should be a priority waiver ad wherever he's available.
All right, boys, time now for our stream team. And Jordan, you have our quarterback this week. Which quarterback are you streaming?
Well, I like Taysom Hill if you can get your hands on him, as you already said, but because I can't just repeat your pick, I'm going to go with Taylor Heinicke of the Washington football team. In the past 3 weeks, and yes, this is due to some quarterbacks being on bye and whatnot, but Heinicke is the number 9 quarterback in all of fantasy football, and so he seems to be a pretty safe option to produce, even after he had an underwhelming week 12 against the Seahawks. The Raiders are their week 13 opponent, and they provide a much friendlier opportunity for Heinicke. They've surrendered the 7th most points per game to opposing quarterbacks on the year. And then just looking at other options who you could pick up, it's hard to find anyone that's as trustworthy. You have Carson Wentz going against the Texans, and the Colts should win that game, but who's to say that Jonathan Taylor doesn't do all the scoring himself? And you have Matt Ryan, but do you really trust Matt Ryan right now after he puts up clunker after goose egg, week after week? And then, if Hill is taken by someone else, you might be running low on options. So I like Heinicke going against the Raiders for my stream team quarterback this week.
Jesse, you have our stream team tight end this week. Who's your pickup?
Well, no one, myself included, is ever enthused to play Jack Doyle in fantasy. But if you're going to go the streaming route this week, he's probably your safest bet. Though he's been overshadowed by teammate Jonathan Taylor, Doyle has quietly been the 6th highest scorer among fantasy tight ends since week 8. Doyle delivered a gem against the Bucs in week 12, finishing as the overall tight end 1 for the week on the strength of 6 catches for 81 yards, both season highs for the veteran. After being invisible early in the year, Doyle has found the end zone 3 times in his last 5 games. Next on the menu for Doyle is a juicy matchup with the Texans, who have allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends this season. Doyle put up a goose egg against Houston when he faced them earlier this year, but I'm confident he'll redeem himself with a much better performance in week 13.
All right, I have our stream team defense for the week, and I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. And my logic is fairly simple. The Lions are terrible. They've scored more than 17 points once this season. That was their week 1 opener against the 49ers. They've not produced much of anything offensively. Face of the Vikings defense, it's not been dominant by any means, ranking near the bottom 3rd of the league in terms of most categories. But I like the fact that the Vikings posted 9 points on Yahoo, despite giving up 34 last week in San Francisco. Not much of a challenge facing these Lions. You guys mentioned it earlier. No DeAndre Swift in this matchup. I think it's a great chance for the Vikings. If you're looking to stream a defense, they should be fairly reliable this week. Let's wrap it up with our stealthy starts, and I am looking to Los Angeles, and I'm looking to OBJ. 5 catches, 81 yards, and that 54-yard touchdown last week in that loss to Green Bay. Looks like they might be finally getting him involved with the offense. It took a couple weeks. We know Sean McVay's offense is very complicated. A lot of pre-snap motions and things you have to get down before you can play a true role within that scheme. I think the trust is finally developing, and it's an opportunity for OBJ to step in with the Rams. So he's still started in just 49% of Yahoo leagues. I think there's going to be a big-time opportunity for Beckham moving forward with the Rams. I'm looking to start him this week. So, Jordan, who's your stealthy start this week?
I'm going to go with another wide receiver, and that is Rashod Bateman of the Baltimore Ravens. We're still kind of waiting for his breakout, but the rookie hasn't quite given that to us yet. And he seems to have lost some of the momentum that he had gained early in the year in terms of good, solid, 70 to 80 yard performances. And for that reason, that's kind of why I like him as a stealthy play this week. Perhaps his bounce back is in store against the Steelers defense that hasn't been all that good against opposing wideouts. They've yet to play the Ravens this year, and so, they could be getting some new looks thrown at them, and hopefully everyone on Baltimore, namely Lamar Jackson, who dealt with that illness and who didn't look great in week 12, maybe due to lingering effects of that illness, is back to full health for Baltimore in this divisional matchup against the Steelers. Bateman could be back to his usual 6 to 8 target range, and so I like him as a stealthy play in week 13, and maybe this is his breakout week.
All right, Jesse, finish us off. Who's your stealthy start of the week?
Well, Ezekiel Elliott played through a knee injury on Thanksgiving, but didn't look like himself, averaging just 2.8 yards per carry. With Zeke hurting, Tony Pollard could be just the spark Dallas needs coming off consecutive losses to Las Vegas and Kansas City. Pollard handled 14 touches against the Raiders, contributing 68 yards from scrimmage and a kickoff return touchdown. Since week 10, Pollard has outproduced Zeke by 63 yards from scrimmage, impressing as a receiver out of the backfield with 12 catches on 13 targets over that span. National reporters Ian Rappaport and Ed Werder have both suggested Elliott could see a reduced workload if he plays at all Thursday against New Orleans, potentially vaulting Pollard to RB1 status. While the Saints boast one of the league's stingier run defenses, they're not unbeatable, as the Eagles showed by running all over them in week 10. With New Orleans riding a 4-game losing streak, this could be an eruption spot for Pollard.
That's it for week 13. For my colleagues Jordan Cote and Jesse Pantusco, I'm Chris Emma, and this is the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show.